convinced that no one had like plot armor.
Mm-hmm.
And it became clear that some people did. And that was kind of the whole thing about Game of Thrones, in early Game of Thrones, which is that nobody had plot armor, right? Like, they killed their main character at the end of the first season. Like, it was a huge deal, you know?
Yeah, but he was played by Sean Bean, so was it really a surprise?
Right, but he wasn't the villain, right? Like, he wasn't like... He was the good guy. He was, like, the main character and shit. But, and he was also probably by far the most famous name on that show at that point, because they didn't have very many like huge names, you know. And so that didn't last. I want to make sure I have my okay, cool.
Well, I mean, somebody's got to survive, barring like a nuclear war or something.
It's like dragons. Oh, have you not seen the thumbnail yet?
And I'm just not sure I recognize the person who has the hearts emoji.
It's Star Wars Explained.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's fucking Alex.
Okay.
I sent him a message today. He's in a group chat that I'm in for the Star Wars Hub, and I was like, hey man, fuck Star Wars theory. Fuck that guy. All right, let's go. Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I am Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And we are the hosts of the Jedi Enclave Presents the Now This Is Podcasting Podcast, which is a weekly little project where we like to talk about Star Wars and other things relating to nerddom and fandom and things that we like.
Rings of Power.
Rings of Power is
which
on
I
the
remembered
list
to
today.
watch this time.
Good, because if you hadn't remembered,
we'd be going like an entire hour.
we would have had to watch all of Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, which we just did.
Yes.
Plus, that was a full hour of Rings of Power this week, I think.
You messaged me at like 2 this afternoon saying, oh, by the way, the Lego Star Wars is out.
Yeah.
We need to watch that.
I totally forgot, which means that our Buzz recap today is going to get booted to next week just because we just don't have time for it today. So yeah, we're talking about those two things. Those are the things I'm excited to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I'm not looking forward to today is there's a little bit of Star Wars YouTuber drama that we're going to weigh in on because...
See, I thought you were talking about the other Star Wars news.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But before we get going, if you could follow us on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch, Discord, all of those things, it would certainly make me happy, and it would make Jesus happy. Yeah. Probably.
No, it would. Definitely.
If you believe in Jesus, that could be a thing that he would probably want you to do because it's in the Bible.
Yeah, definitely.
It says in like fucking Peter,
but thou shalt follow those
Jedi
two
Enclave
nerds in a basement.
Yeah. Wow, Jesus throwing fucking shade at us. Fuck you, Jesus. Oh God, all the Christians just unfollowed us. Okay.
If they can't take a joke, they wouldn't still be here.
Yeah, it's true. Oh man. So I don't know. Bittersweet news this week. I say bittersweet. So James Earl Jones died at the age of 93 at his home in Pawling, New York. I say bittersweet because like this is the kind of thing that he's such. Of course, we know from Star Wars. He's just such a huge fucking fixture in Star Wars, but he also was just
one of the most iconic vocal performances
and actors.
I'm
Star Wars,
specifically about Star Wars,
yes,
like
absolutely,
most iconic vocal performances of all time.
Yes,
I think.
Yeah, and all the runners up are also characters he voiced, like Mufasa and fucking Lion King.
Yep.
In addition to that, a prolific stage actor and just actor all over the fucking place in popular media.
He was in a bunch of PBS stuff. He was on Sesame Street a couple times.
Yes, an EGOT winner, which is to say an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony winner, which is very rare. Doesn't happen all the time. In fact, he got his first Tony Award was in 1969, and then he got an Emmy in 91, and then he got an Oscar in 2011, And so he's very decorated. There been a lot of people obviously coming out of the woodwork to pay respects. Everyone from fucking Denzel Washington and other actors to the presidential candidate Kamala Harris and Bill Clinton and like all these, like just the whole world was like, man, of course it's got to be James Earl Jones. On the other hand, he lived a long, storied, prolific life.
93 is older than most people get to, and through his work he touched more lives than almost anyone else.
He was absolutely exceptional. He made his Broadway debut in 1957.
That is an entirely different world.
Yes.
Like, just thinking about a black man on Broadway
in the 50s,
even
in the late 50s, especially in the late 50s, actually, because that's right around when the civil rights thing started, kind of started cooking, and there were really terrible things happening to people of color in America.
Like
that
really just speaks to how gifted an actor he was.
Yes.
That he was able to break through even then.
Yeah. I mentioned that he got his first Tony Award for Best Actor in 1969 for The Great White Hope, where he played the role of boxer Jack Jefferson. Of course, played the voice of Darth Vader in 1977. Mm-hmm. The voice of Mufasa in Disney's first animated rendition of The Lion King in 1944.
I hate that you have to specify it's the first animated.
Well, it's funny because they're like, oh, we're gonna do a live action Lion King reboot. And it's like, bitch, that's all computer animated.
It's not live action.
There's nothing in it that's real. Like it's all fake. Won Emmy Awards in 1991, 2 Primetime Emmy Awards for Gabriel's Fire and Heat Wave. He had the best actor for his Tony Award for Best Actor was in 1987, year I was born. And he won his second Tony for Fences by August Wilson, as Oscar in 2011. It was an honorary Academy Award for his lifetime of work, and then had a Tony Lifetime Achievement Award in 2017. Just all around. A class act guy, made it through 93 years of life as a public figure and actor without a single fucking
scandal or
weird gross thing. Just all around a great guy. Fucking, we'll miss you, man. Fucking Godspeed.
Like, he was everywhere, in part because you have to take every job as an actor, basically. Just like today, I was listening on the radio to a recording of him doing Lincoln Portrait.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I've heard his version of Lincoln Portrait. So for those of you who don't know, Aaron Copland,
the great American composer.
Yeah, the inventor of the American sound.
Yeah.
Like when you watch a fucking cowboy movie, and you hear that old American sound,
like the silent strings, like the trumpet just mournfully playing long notes,
or even the action, the giddy up horsey shit.
That's rodeo, by the way.
Yeah, that all came from Aaron Copland. He invented the American sound for film scores and orchestral music. Wrote a piece for orchestra and narrator using only the words from Abraham Lincoln's speeches in history. And having conducted the work myself, I know there's a note in the beginning of the score that says the lines are not meant to be dramatized. They are meant to be just read off of the paper with no drama. Mm-hmm. And it's like, motherfucker, James Earl Jones doesn't read anything without putting drama on it. Like it's just the quality of his voice, mm-hmm. right? And so that his version of that is one of my favorites, between him and William Warfield, with Leonard Bernstein in the New York Phil. But go and search YouTube for James Earl Jones Lincoln Portrait. Not only is it fantastic, amazing music. Who conducted that one for?
I forget
it. I'm gonna look it up real quick because I feel like
this is such a music nerd tangent.
Yeah,
and I crave your indulgence to the audience. I don't actually, because
I'm just really. I don't know who that conductor is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Gerard Shorts, the Seattle Symphony. I gotta admit, I don't listen to a ton of the Seattle Symphony Orchestra, because
Not one of the best known.
Like the most famous orchestra, right? Yeah. So, like I said, Godspeed, sir. The world did not deserve you, and it also makes me think. Like I look back at like 1957, Jesus Christ, and I realize that John Williams has been writing film scores since 1951.
Yeah.
And he's about as old, and somehow still alive and writing music and conducting concerts.
Remember when the rumor was that he was going to retire after Star Wars 9?
Yeah.
And he's still doing
Well, I think
stuff.
he said he was going to retire,
Yeah.
and it was like, I thought I wouldn't. And then also Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford are still around and also are not young men.
No. So
it's that era, those actors are
going to watch a lot of our heroes go.
Yeah. So this brings up an interesting thing, though.
Okay.
Because you might remember that in Obi-Wan Kenobi, James Earl Jones signed over the rights of his archival voice work to Lucasfilm.
So just to preface this, the last time he voiced Darth Vader, like him, the flesh and blood, was Rogue One.
Yeah.
And like he sounded about
86 or however old he was.
He sounded 40 years older than
your voice changes quite a bit when you get that age. I mean,
and like it's not his fault, it's just biology.
Yeah. And so he signed over the rights to his voice work archive and everything, which is, I'm sure he got paid immensely for it. I mean, that would have been hundreds of millions of dollars, I bet.
For a voice that good, it would have been worth it.
And that famous, yeah. And they used AI in conjunction with that archive to kind of recreate his voice for Obi-Wan Kenobi. So when you hear Vader's voice, the James Earl Jones part, both when he's suited up as Vader, but also in that scene where they kind of blend James Earl Jones's voice with Hayden Christensen and everything, that's AI work with, drawing off of an archive of James Earl Jones's voice work. And this also connects to another thing we're talking about today, because it
feels kind of icky.
It does, and I try not to get sentimental about people dying, because I believe that when you're dead, it's done. Like there is no afterlife. I mean, you've got one life. That's it. And in fact, actually, this is totally random, but I'm having a surgical procedure on Monday, and the surgeon was like, I think actually I can probably do it without putting you under. Like, do you want me to do that? And I was like, yes. And I was really excited to say yes. And he's like, that's not what people usually say. And I told him, I was like, I'm an atheist, and I've been like under the knife before. I've had surgery before, like when I had my appendectomy, and that black eternal void of nothing when you're knocked out, that's what death is like. And I would prefer not to experience that. Okay. Which is to experience nothing. Just the idea of it, though, it really is like, oh God. Yeah. So, what was I going to say?
So let me try to get us back on track.
Oh yeah. Okay. So not
sentimental. Also in Rogue One.
Right. Hold on. So not sentimental about death. Like the idea of, was it their wish to do this or was it their wish to do that? And it's like, motherfucker, they're dead. Like, does their family care? And do they express before they die that they didn't care? And if they didn't care, then who the fuck cares? But also there's another side of it where it's just like they've got their dead body with marionette strings, and they're like, yeah, and yeah, exactly. And this is, I don't know, it just feels kind of weird.
So you might remember also in Rogue One, Disney resurrected AI simulacrums of Peter Cushing.
Yeah, which by the way, when I saw that movie, I was like, holy shit, it looks so good. Looking back at it,
it looks rough. Because
I don't know why they did so many close-ups. So I don't know.
They were so proud because
and they should have been at the time. It was
it is
insane.
So far in advance of anything anyone else had done.
It was like right before they started doing the deepfake things that just sold shit like that way more, and then it ruined Peter Cushing in that movie.
Carrie Fisher as well.
Right. Well, that one wasn't as good.
Well, yeah.
That one was kind of woo.
Anyway,
She really liked it though. She saw it before she died and thought it was amazing.
Good for her.
Yeah.
So Peter Cushing, that being remade into that AI thing.
Yeah.
His family is now suing for what was it?
Is it his family
Image
or
rights.
isn't his? I thought it was his like friend who owns this company.
Believe.
Let me look at my notes real quick.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure that. Why does this keep scrolling to? Okay, listen, Tim Apple, if you're watching this, because I know that you watch Jedi Enclave Presents Now, this podcast every week, there's no reason why the Google Docs app on my fucking iPad should be this bad. I don't know if just buy Google if you have to and fix this. It's absolutely insane. So this was Kevin Francis, a longtime collaborator and owner of some company. I don't know. Tyburn Film Productions filed a lawsuit against Disney and the producers of Rogue One, claiming unjust enrichment because apparently
because Peter Cushing died in 1994, which was well before anybody thought that this sort of technology would be possible.
Right.
So like
that was like space age.
Right.
Like
so
craziness,
Peter Cushing could not possibly have legally signed over image rights because he wouldn't have even thought this was possible.
Yes. However, when they were doing the special edition run of Star Wars, when they remastered Star Wars, the Lucasfilm like acquired the rights to his likeness so that they could work on the special edition or whatever. They didn't recreate him or anything. It's just because they couldn't pay him.
Sure.
Right. And the estate said and they cut him a woefully small check for it. And so I don't know who I'm like with on this, because on one hand it's like Peter Cushing's rando friend who's like, oh, actually I had veto powers over Peter Cushing's face.
That's a little weird.
Yeah, and it's like, are you doing this because you really cared about Peter Cushing, or is it like
you thought you could get money?
This is a good payday, right?
Yeah.
But also Disney is like pulling the same like, oh, so you got a Disney Plus subscription, which
that means you can't sue us because your wife died.
Yeah, and it's like, it kind of feels like that's what they're like. Well, remember back in the 90s when we did this and you paid this, we paid you $7,000 or whatever for his face. Like, well, we own literally everything about him now. So
the good news is you don't have to pick a side.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can just say,
fuck them both.
You both suck. I'm just gonna sit here and eat my popcorn and watch them fight.
Well, so the way I weigh this is like, okay, which one of them is the multi-billion-dollar corporation that I want to see you crash and burn? Disney. Okay, well, I'm not on their side.
Okay, yeah, fair.
So, Kevin, if you get the money, I hope you get the money.
Yeah, it also feels kind of gross for the same reason that the James Earl Jones thing feels gross. Just because, like, do we really want a future that's just full of media created entirely by computers?
Yeah. That's where that's kind of where we're headed anyway. And I think so there are so many different views about AI in general, and I've tried to be as educated about it as possible, both listening to people who are involved with kind of shaping the direction of large language models and stuff, but also it's like I'm an artist, so
you're a musician, and computers have been composing music for years now.
Yeah,
some of it is not very good.
Yeah. I think the thing at the end of the day, the consolation is I don't think the human race is going to survive another couple hundred years.
That's not really consoling.
I know, but it's like, whatever.
I guess. I mean,
it won't matter.
If you want to get nihilistic about it, none of this even matters.
As I get older and older, I find myself teetering this knife's edge between nihilism and somehow secular humanism, and I don't know how I do it. I contain multitudes, I suppose.
Well, as long as we're in a cheerier mood, Ewan McGregor got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
I would be more excited about shit like this if I didn't know how the sausage was made behind this.
Like it's all just designed to enrich the Hollywood people who don't need to make any more money.
Right. Like you pay for it. They're like, here's $14,000. Can I have a star? And they're like, I guess. But at the same,
there you go. Your name's on the fucking sidewalk.
Right. But at the same time, they're immortalized, and it's kind of nice, and it's a good way to like, because it's not like Ewan McGregor doesn't deserve.
No, he's a hell of an actor.
Yeah,
the same way we talk about Adam Driver like elevating the sequel trilogy to what it is from what it might have been.
Yeah.
Like, Ewan McGregor carried episodes 2 and 3 on his back.
Yeah, he really did. And you know what? I love Hayden Christensen, but he was part of the reason it needed carried.
Yeah.
So yeah, they had a nice ceremony. Actually, speaking of Hayden Christensen, he spoke.
Yeah, Hayden Christensen showed up, said, Ewan McGregor's a hell of a guy, great actor, great friend.
They made some jokes about their rivalry in Star Wars and everything, and I'm happy for him. I think he's one of those once in a generation actors that I don't think I've actually seen him in. Well, that's not true. He's been in a couple of flops. He was in that second Harley Quinn movie as Black Mask.
Oh.
And you know what?
I don't think I realized that.
That movie wasn't actually that bad either, because what's her name that plays Harley Quinn is
Margot Robbie.
Yeah, Margot Robbie's amazing, and Ewan McGregor's amazing. But anyway, it's I read this and I was like, you know what,
it's nice.
Yeah, they had to convince, like they had to pay them to do it, but at the same time, he deserves the recognition. Yeah. So what the fuck ever.
Okay. Is that all the news?
Yeah, we got to talk about something kind of that I don't want to talk about.
So you haven't told me anything about this, and I haven't gone out and looked at it. So I'm just sitting here waiting to be as entertained and educated as anyone else.
I find myself a little envious that you just don't know about this, because I would prefer to be in the same boat. So I'm going to preface this.
You're just too plugged in.
Yeah, right. So I'm gonna preface this that the discourse that's going to come from this topic, specifically this video with the tens of people that'll watch it, is useless. There are certain corners of the internet that only communicate through just disgusting vitriol. It's the only language they know. Yeah. And so when you say something that goes against their confirmation bias, their immediate reaction is to go to the comments and say the most disgusting thing they can.
Fuck you, you're a pedophile.
Yeah. And that's almost certainly what will happen here. In fact, posting about this twice this week, that there were 3 instances of specifically, you don't agree with me, therefore you are a pedophile, kind of a thing. Which is one of those every conservative accusation is a confession kind of thing in my mind.
But also get some new material.
Yeah, right. It's like I understand what you're working with isn't that advanced, but I don't know, ask ChatGPT to write you a joke.
Yeah, like stop going back to the greatest hits. Like pull out a B-side every now and then.
Right. Yeah, you don't go to a Billy Joel concert and just listen to Piano Man the whole fucking time. Yeah,
no.
Right.
Like, he plays other stuff.
And you are the crowd that would benefit from AI, right? I mean, they're the guys that AI could really help.
They're the people. Like, there's AI. There's like the part of humanity that you want to interact with, and then down here is them.
Right. So, and the other part too is that I happen to be cursed with the knowledge that half of all internet traffic isn't real.
It's bots. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not over exaggerating. 50% of all internet traffic aren't real people.
I know.
So when I see a comment, I try to remember, that's probably a Russian bot farm or something. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to kind of explain what happened a little bit and weigh in, because I'll also preface this by saying I have a clear bias against one of the actors in this situation, and we've railed on him before, and there will be comments about, oh, you're fucking jealous of Star Wars theories, blah, blah, blah. You guys talk about them all the time, which is funny because we do a live show every week and we rarely ever talk about Star Wars theory. In fact,
only when he does gross, dumb, and heinous shit.
Yeah. So there's a Star Wars YouTube channel called Star Wars Explained, run by a guy named Alex and his wife Molly. Okay. It is one of the gems of the internet, particularly where Star Wars discourse is concerned. And I'm not sure if Alex would even be offended if I said this, but it's like if Wikipedia like had a face and a YouTube channel. Okay. That's what Star Wars Explained is. Okay. In fact, I think I remember him saying that he created the channel as a way to help study for a Star Wars trivia night at a bar. And that's what his thing is, right? And since its inception, he does the videos on lore, both canon and legends. Doesn't make his following and his money by the whole rage hate bait bullshit.
Good for him.
Yeah. He's honest when he isn't crazy about something, but he's not just an asshole about it. And it's one of those channels I've been following for a long time, and I've been a fan of a long time, and I've really appreciated the contribution that he made to the community, but also to just the quality of the discourse, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's that, right? So his wife Molly shared an open letter to YouTube, and let me tell you, so it was an open letter. Uh-huh. It has cutesy little Star Wars graphic stickers on it, mm-hmm. but also is cited with a whole footnotes section with citations.
Okay, yeah.
And is well researched and extraordinarily well said. Okay. Right? And this is basically it. It kind of discussed the ongoing harassment that's like faced by marginalized actors, particularly in Star Wars, specifically on YouTube. And it mentions by name Amanda Stenberg, who, as we know, faced significant online abuse from her role in The Acolyte. Yeah. And she tied the harassment with fucking receipts to prominent figures. Do you remember that asshole Milo Yiannopoulos?
Oh,
yeah. Who kind of like had a similar campaign against the comedian Leslie Jones, who's a black woman, right? And she made some Molly made some accusations against some specific YouTube channels, being Geeks and Gamers, mm-hmm. which we know is an alt-right hate group that makes literally all of their following from making heinous racial, homophobic, misogynistic slurs against people and just being the worst human trash possible. RK Outpost and Nerdrotic, all of which are the same. Mm-hmm. Accuse them of contributing to and profiting from a culture of targeted harassment against actors of color and women specifically. Okay. And she pointed out that the channels produce content that fuels hate and uses really harmful stereotypes. For example, calling Stenberg, quote, an angry black woman and, quote, a black bitch. And makes a call to action in the letter asking YouTube to enforce its community guidelines.
Okay.
Nothing more than that. Just, you have these guidelines. Please hold these channels to account.
Okay. I'm on board so
far. Yeah. And urge YouTube to demonetize the channels to prevent them from profiting off of being fucking hate mongers. Yeah. And like, is she wrong?
No.
She's not, right? Another couple of things I appreciated was that she mentioned Kelly Marie Tran and Moses Ingram, both of which were targets of disgusting vitriol by the worst people on YouTube.
Just for being visible in Star Wars.
Right. And so that was pretty much it. She was like, hey,
hey, YouTube, can you fucking enforce your hate speech rules? Yeah. Here's a bunch of people who are spouting hate speech. Can you do something about this?
Yeah. Now, here comes Star Wars fucking Theory.
Oh, God.
Who immediately is like, well, I'm offended by that.
Oh, okay.
Famous.
Time out. If you are offended when someone points out hate speech, maybe you shouldn't be fucking spouting hate speech. Yeah. Like, if someone says, hey, that guy's a bigot, and you say, oh, I'm offended, that says more about you than anything else.
Yes, indeed. And so one of the most famous snowflakes on the internet, Star Wars Theory, made a reaction video and opened it by saying that Alex was sackless and accused him of hiding behind his wife.
And all the classic far right talking.
Yes. and accuse them of, targeted harassment toward him because everything is about him. And
did the open letter even mention him?
I think it does.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it does.
Among like half a dozen other channels, though,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Yeah. So.
They're all freaking out about it.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
Targeted.
Right. And the real shitty thing is that he publicly shared some private communications that he had with Alex.
Okay.
That like from when they kind of met and how that
presumably before Alex found out what a piece of shit he was.
Right. Well, this is the thing about Star Wars Theory is that his channel used to be like lore discussions and what if scenarios.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what if this happened?
And then he found out that he could make more money
Yes.
by baiting the far right.
Right. And that's kind of where, Star Wars Explained was like, no, we don't want that.
Nope.
Yeah,
we're not doing that.
That's shitty. And revealed messages where Alex confided in him about his struggle with anxiety, and of course, Star Wars Theory used that as a leverage point against him now, and all of his followers think that he like came to the table with receipts. And it's just him sharing private communications
things that were told to him in confidence.
Right. That don't prove what they think it proves, and Star Wars Theory just being a douche. The same Star Wars Theory who just recently, by the way, defended the use of a slur toward ableist people. And as we'll discuss here in a minute, isn't really out of place from how he usually is. And so the whole thing was a
trash fire,
right? And he accused them of hypocrisy and jealousy, that they don't believe in the noble virtue on which they stand. And I noticed that he could not resist complaining about the fact that Alex and his wife are often invited by Lucasfilm to events and he is not.
Maybe it's because they aren't fucking bigots.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like, he is so... Because he's spoken about this before. Like,
he's real butthurt about it.
It has wounded him to such an insane, deep personal level that it's like... Okay, I don't mean to bring politics into it, but we have to, because there's a political... That side of the internet all more or less believe in the same political ideology. Yeah. And we're stupid to pretend that that's not true. And if you're like, well, I'm a Star Wars here and I don't believe... It's like, yeah, you do.
Put it in the comments. Yeah. We'll delete it, but you can put it there.
My First Amendment rights. So I'm going to talk about that too. So, like, you'll notice that, like, at the presidential debate, Kamala Harris poked at Trump about his crowd size.
Yeah, like at the end of one answer, she mentioned, by the way, Donald Trump has tiny fucking crowds for his
She knew
rallies.
exactly what she was doing, and it derailed him the rest of... And this is that thing for Star Wars Theory. This... Mm-hmm. Oh, they get flown out and they get games early and I don't. And it's the thing that just sends him into a rage, right? It's just like, so he called for legal action for all these different YouTube channels. It's like, oh, you should sue Alex and Molly for speaking out against hate speech. Which, by the way, they weren't like, it's not like Alex and Molly said, I don't like these people, take them off YouTube. They said, these are the facts. This is what they've said. Mm-hmm. This is YouTube's policy about what happens to you if you say those things. You should enforce that policy, right? And that's literally all. Mm-hmm. And a couple days later, I noticed that he put out another video.
Oh, God.
This conspiracy theory thing about how... Because, he's got that shitty Vader fan film. Mm-hmm. Disney monetized his video, and he's like, oh, and of course it happened after this thing with Star Wars Explained happened. So it's the deep state Star Wars and all that other shit, this is the point of all this. The thing that we're weighing in on is that Star Wars Explained, both Alex and Molly are right, and they've always been. Yeah. And this is the problem. The problem is with the creators. The problem is with people like Star Wars Theory and Geeks and Gamers and all of these fucking bottom feeders who maybe they don't even believe the shit they're saying, but they know that saying it will make them money, and so they say it.
Just call them grifters.
Yeah,
that's what they are.
Right. That's what it is. But there's a more systemic problem, which is that YouTube prioritizes content like this.
The internet in general.
Right.
Interaction is what matters.
Yes.
Doesn't matter if you like it or hate it. If you're clicking like, if you're typing comments,
Yeah.
if you're sending it to your friends, that's all the internet
Yes.
cares about.
It turns out that anger drives engagement like crazy. That's why, like, all the idiots that are going to be in the comments of this video, it's like, thank you.
Yeah.
You're literally
You are pushing us up the algorithm
Yeah.
with telling us how much you hate us.
Yeah.
So great, thanks.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why when I see comments and shit, I'm just like, okay,
Okay.
you work for me now. It's fine. And Star Wars, the problem with Star Wars, the many problems with Star Wars Theory shouldn't be ignored either. And he is an expert at playing the victim. Everything is always some big slap in the face, and poor Star Wars Theory with his millions of subscribers and all this other bullshit. He routinely allies himself with and defends hyper alt-right hate groups like Geeks and Gamers and other like fandom menace groups who take credit for harassing actors online and review bombing stuff with black people in it. He platformed someone recently who said females don't watch Star Wars and therefore there's no need to represent females in Star Wars. That's a thing that happened, and of course his first line is the most predictable. Oh, you took that out of context. And it's like, no, motherfucker, I read the transcript. I didn't. That's exactly what the conversation was about. He invented and continues to lie about a make-believe war at Lucasfilm between Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni, because nothing threatens Star Wars Theory more than Kathleen Kennedy.
Except maybe Brie Larson.
Yeah, well, that's a Mike Zero thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if he's in, because I don't follow him and I don't watch his videos.
How can you possibly avoid the 17 he puts out every day?
Mike Zero, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, also Star Wars Theory. Like when this whole thing happened, someone who watched the video just sent me a transcript of it because I will not support his bullshit. So I can't remember if Star Wars Theory is on the Brie Larson like thing, but Kathleen Kennedy terrifies him to such a crazy extent that she lives rent free in his head. It's just insane the obsession he has with Kathleen Kennedy. He uses the same language as other alt-right rage bait channels. You'll hear him bitch about things being woke and diversity hires and all this other bullshit, like all these buzzwords that don't mean anything or are patently false or demonstrably false.
It all comes down to there's no possible way that anyone could possibly do this better than me, a straight white male.
Right.
So therefore, they must be getting help from somewhere.
Right. He has some of the most trash tier takes on Star Wars. Many of them being made in bad faith. Many of them he makes because he knows that he can stoke outrage and get those fucking sweet clicks, right? Because that's literally all his existence is about.
That's all it's for.
Famously went on a rant about the bricks and screws in Andor. Had a bunch of small nitpicky problems with a bunch of things that don't matter. And the thing is, like, he claims to be a champion of George Lucas and George's original vision. And
George Lucas doesn't know who you are, motherfucker.
Yeah, and the other, like, and he uses his first name like he knows him, like they're friends. And it's like, first of all, I doubt that George Lucas knows you. If he does, he thinks you're a fucking joke, and you're part of the reason he sold Star Wars. People like you are part of the reason he sold Star Wars. He is very obviously hurt and jealous because Lucasfilm wants nothing to do with him. And it's because...
Except for making money off his shitty Vader fan.
Right, yeah. I bet they're like, oh, well... And this is the thing.
Yeah, we'll take the $2 every 6 months or whatever.
And Star Wars Theory, motherfucker, your biggest crime is making me side with a corporation over your dumbass. And that's really what hurts me, is it like Disney, a multi-billion-dollar corporation that I hope to the center of my heart burns to the fucking ground. You're making me take their side on this bullshit? Fuck you. He famously a couple months ago claimed he was done with Star Wars. Do you remember this?
I think.
Yeah,
he
put out a video. He was done with Star Wars.
Okay,
we knew that.
I'm guessing that lasted all about 6 hours
until the next video came out, like the next day. We knew this wasn't true because he needs that sweet hate money, and I imagine his livelihood depends on it. I mentioned he defended the use of ableist slurs, and he also celebrated the coordinated hate attack against Wikipedia and its volunteers when Acolyte was happening, was gleefully delighting in those volunteers getting death and rape threats, and he thought that was really neat. And
just a class act all around.
Yeah, and his defenders love to do this. You know this thing that like particularly people on the alt-right do, where they're like, well, what exactly did he like? When did he exactly say that? Right, and it's like, well, first of all,
that doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does matter whether or not he said it,
yeah.
right? But it's this thing that the alt-right likes to do, where they're like, oh. Yeah, you need to prove that. Like, when exactly? What exact moment? Please, like all like they set up a goalpost that they plan to move anyway, but
they're derailing you from the actual thing that matters with all this bullshit detail.
And knowing also that people like Star Wars Theory are experts at using dog whistles and coded language to say the thing to say without saying the thing that they meant, right? And they know this, and they know that sometimes it's hard to articulate the connection because they've gotten very good at hiding their racism behind the mirage of discourse, of responsible discourse, and none of it is, right? But we've been exposed to it for so long, particularly since 2016, that I think people know when they hear it now. So it goes all over the spectrum, from literally platforming someone who literally said that females shouldn't be represented because girls didn't watch Star Wars, to saying things like diversity hire when what you mean is that's a black person, or saying, oh, that's woke when what you mean is they're gay and fucking disgusting, because that's what you mean, but you can't say that outright, so you find a coded way to say it.
It's not to pull politics into this even more, but it's the Southern strategy. It's how Ronald Reagan won the election in 1980. Like, there's a quote. Like, if you go to Wikipedia, look up Southern strategy. There's a quote from Republican strategist Lee Atwater saying, first you say the N-word, then you can't say the N-word anymore. So you like couch it in so much bullshit.
Yeah, put a suit and tie on it.
Yeah, the people that you're talking to know what you're saying. But the rest of the people who might hear it just hear an argument. They don't know what it is until they're inside, and then they know what it is.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons why the KKK wears suits now. And it's why the Proud Boys, like they
the ones that aren't in prison after January 6th.
They knew they had to package themselves as responsible, knowledgeable players in the conversation. And they knew that they need to package what they're saying differently. And that's what Star Wars Theory does. And there's just no getting around that. There are a couple of things I've been hearing from the little internet boys. Okay. First of which is like the First Amendment. They're trying to take his away.
Doesn't apply.
Yeah.
The First Amendment specifically says the government cannot abridge your freedom of speech. Yeah. It does not say that a private entity is required to transmit or platform or host your hate speech. Yeah. It just says the government can't put you in jail.
Yeah. Another thing,
with certain limitations, but in large,
right, like screaming fire in a crowded.
Yeah. Can't do that.
The other thing also is that Star Wars Theory, as far as I know, when this was recorded, is not an American citizen. Oh. He's Canadian, and the first
so it wouldn't even apply.
Yeah, the First Amendment, our Constitution doesn't cover Canadians, and it shouldn't. Fuck you, Canadians.
Yeah, so go look up the Canadian Constitution.
I'm kidding. Almost all the Canadians I've ever met are great. Yeah. Except for Star Wars Theory. And then I've seen lots of, you're just jealous because of his subscribers because
No,
he got
not
too
really.
many. Yeah. Which, by the way,
Like, we don't make any money off this. Like, we haven't pinned our financial future
yeah,
to this.
yeah, no, we have real jobs.
Yeah.
So first of all, Connor at the Star Wars Hub, my friend Connor at the Star Wars Hub, was talking to me a little bit about some facts that he just kind of like put together, and then his brain made a connection, which is that Star Wars Theory at some point was talking about the ad money that he's put into his operation, and like getting ads for his channel, and the fact that he makes his living with his father selling real estate, and Connor was trying to figure out like, why is it there's Star Wars Theory with like this massive, unbelievable number of subscribers, and then like even the next popular YouTuber, Star Wars YouTuber, whoever it is, who is popular, not coming close to that subscriber count, and it's like, obviously I can't prove that
he's buying subscriber bots.
Yeah, or just buying, like, just paying for the ads from the money his dad gives him.
Yeah.
Well, allegedly. I'm not saying.
Allegedly.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
can't prove
yeah.
it. No, we don't have that kind of evidence.
Right. And I'll also respond to that by saying that I'd much rather have 10 subscribers that are good people than a million who are just human trash. And I sleep fine.
And possibly Russian bots?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a whole thing there too. So anyway, that's our thing on the Star Wars Theory thing. Alex and Molly at Star Wars Explained are quality people. They produce quality content. They believe, as far as I can tell, in making sure that humans experience the least amount of harm. And you start that by giving them all the same rights and the same privileges as everyone else, regardless of their race or their sexual orientation. And if that makes me some kind of woke
snowflake,
then I would much rather be that than whatever the fuck you are. So, all right, let's talk about some other stuff.
Okay. Let's talk about stuff we like.
Let's talk about Star Wars.
Rebuild the Galaxy.
Yeah, so I forgot this is the thing that came out.
We're
not going to get super into. Okay,
yeah.
so like,
so can I start?
Sure.
This is the purest expression of George Lucas's vision for Star Wars.
It's a goofy shit.
It is entertainment for children.
Yeah,
like there's a whole bunch of jokes and puns and visual gags that like would fly over the head of a 9-year-old. But like for adults who know Star Wars, they would get that. And like we were laughing a whole bunch.
Yeah, there were a bunch of jokes in it where it was like, and there's some low hanging fruit too for Star Wars jokes, and you know what? I still fucking laughed because I really wish there was a detail they spoiled in the trailer that I really wish they wouldn't have, which is the whole Darth Jar Jar thing, because if that
would have been fucking incredible to discover just watching.
Yeah, I really wish that I had got to just like stumble across that, because that was like, one of the highlights.
We got to the part where it was happening, and John like 15 seconds before it happened, John was like, "Oh, here comes Darth Jar Jar."
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, "Nah, there's no way." Oh, like it's Darth Jar Jar.
Yeah, you have to make sure you're aware of the audience this is for, which is not us.
This is for children.
Yeah.
Like literal children.
Yeah, and they threw some jokes in there for the parents, or whatever. Not that I have kids, but I'm just a lonely Star Wars fan. But
you have 2 dogs. That
yeah,
counts.
It's like having toddlers. It really is. So like that being said, for what it is, I had a fun time with it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I didn't find myself looking at my phone too much while I was watching it. I was interested enough. The story is very basic.
Yes. There's
a MacGuffin. And,
there's a hero's journey. He refuses the call, and then it comes to him, and he has to fix everything.
Yeah. So we're gonna spoil it. So if for some reason you are very concerned about having the story spoiled for you, first of all, it's not that complex and it's not that kind of story. But we're about to spoil it, or at least as much as I can remember.
Yeah,
we're not gonna spend a bunch.
We're
gonna
gloss over a lot of this. So
couple brothers.
Yep.
On a planet called Vanessa.
Sig and Dev.
Yeah.
Sig,
voiced by the kid from Stranger Things, the one with the curly hair.
okay.
Now famous actor.
Yeah. So Sig is the brother who just wants to stay on planet Vanessa and be a nerf herder for all of eternity. And Dev is the one who's cool and a go-getter, wants to be adventurous. So they stumble on a Jedi temple. And they're like, hey, this is really fucking weird. Why is there that glowing brick? Because it's Lego. Everything is made of bricks.
Right, yeah.
And like, Sig can use the Force and Dev can't. Dev's like, hey, why don't you pull that brick out? And it's valuable. I can use that to buy tickets to get off this planet.
Because he wants to leave and just take his girlfriend with him.
Sig's like, fucking fine. I'll pull the brick out of the wall. Oh, God, the temple's collapsing. What has happened? And the entire galaxy...
the entire fabric of space and time has come unraveled and rebuilt itself.
Yep.
Into another Star Wars world
where the clone
up is down, cats and dogs, and fucking Ewok bounty hunters.
And clone troopers are Admiral Akbar now.
Yeah, all of them.
Yes.
The same Admiral Akbar.
Yes.
I like to let, so you know that they sat down in the writers' room and they're like, okay, what's some crazy Star Wars shit we can make happen?
So Darth Jar Jar is probably like the first thing that came up.
Oh, sure, yeah, right. Because this is like half Star Wars. What if half?
Just crazy.
What if it's all just insane, right? And I liked it.
Fucking clone Akbars.
Yeah. So the Empire all have clone troopers, and they're all Admiral Akbar.
And the Empire's winning. The rebellion isn't doing so.
Well, they rule like that. I think the Empire rules the galaxy now, and they're like they fly. X-fighters.
Yeah,
right, which are like it's like the pod of a
TIE fighter with the X-wings, and like the rebellion, when they show up, they have TIE wings, which is the wings of a TIE fighter in the body of an X-wing.
Right, yeah. There's Jedi Bob, who is the guardian of the temple. He's supposed to not have the brick pulled out, and he's
he had one job.
Yeah. Luke's Tatooine isn't a sand planet. It's
a fucking beach resort now.
Yeah, and on this planet Tatooine, there's a famed pod racer called Luke Skywalker
who fucking cheats with the Force.
Yeah, he's kind of a piece of shit, and
he has a mullet.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
which of course
open shirt.
He's living in Space Daytona Beach, even more so than the one we saw in Andor.
Right. Yeah. I was half expecting him to like be holding a beer or something. Yeah. I thought it was funny. He's got like the necklace that's like the Japor snippet that Anakin carved for Padme. Yeah. What else? There's fucking Greedo and Han Solo are in it, but their roles are reversed. So like,
so Greedo is the pilot who
the daring smuggler, right?
And Han Solo is wearing Greedo's clothes and is his co-pilot.
Right. Yeah, and he made a joke about how Greedo shot first.
Yep.
It like shot his shot first, and it's like. All the kids are probably laughing because like, oh, who shot first? And all the adults are like, ugh, I don't want to imagine that ever again.
They run into the Jedi, who are led by Lightside Palpatine.
And Lightside Vader.
And
Jabba the Hutt, the Jedi.
Jabba the Jedi.
IG-88 the Jedi, I think, is in there.
I think so.
Cad Bane the Jedi.
Darth Tyrannus the Jedi. Jaina from
Dooku,
from Episode 9, the Jedi.
Jaina,
the...
You mean Jana?
Jana,
played by Naomi Ackie. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And they don't want to do anything.
They're like, look, we had our chance. We kind of fucked up. We're just gonna stay in our fucking sandcrawler walker.
Right. The Sith. There are several Sith. Yes. It isn't just Darth.
So Dev, who in the first reality was
his
Sig's brother, is the Sith who's running the galaxy, and he has a whole bunch of apprentices like Kit Fisto and Rey and
Rose Tico,
and Darth Jar Jar.
There's a fucking Jawa in there, a Jawa Sith.
Yep.
I felt like there was like one more.
What's his name? The little blue guy. Wasn't there?
Nub.
Yeah.
From the Young Jedi animated series.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Who's this little cute, adorable Care Bear. Yeah.
So after a whole bunch of shenanigans, Dev finally captures Sig and the Cornerstone, and he sets it up in his ship, and hey, we can remake fucking Planet Vanessa into the way you remember it. And Sig's like, well, I don't know about this. and like all of his Sith apprentices turn on Dev, and
they're real jealous.
Yeah. So it ends up with like them realizing, Sig realizing, hey, I can't make the galaxy the way it used to be. I just have to live with it how it is. And Dev says, you know what? I'm just gonna go over here because like turns out I've been alone my whole life, and that kind of sucks. And now I kind of have a brother that I don't remember.
Yeah.
But
I like, he's cool.
Yeah, I mean, he half kicked my ass, and half I'm like, maybe I don't want to kill him, so I'm just gonna fuck off. And they rescue Yoda, who's in prison. Yep.
Yoda and light side Grievous
and Mace Windu.
Yeah, he's there. The party's just started.
Yeah.
Instead of this party's over.
Mm-hmm.
After there's a big space battle,
yep.
which is kind of fun, and there's some lightsaber fights.
And the Dark Falcon.
Oh yeah, there's Dark Side Falcon.
The Death Star.
Yeah, it turns. Yeah, Darth Maul is a good guy in this one.
Yep.
Wears
he's just Maul.
Yeah, Maul,
like Paul with an M.
Who wears
Lando's clothes.
Yeah, and is gay. I think
so. I mean, that was the vibe I got.
He was pretty gay coded, and I'm saying that as a gay man. He seemed pretty gay. Voiced by Sam Witwer, by the way. A bunch of good voice acting. Like Mark Hamill reprises Luke. There's a cyborg bounty hunter C-3PO voiced by Anthony Daniels, and Rose Tico voiced or not Rose Tico.
Kelly Marie Tran?
Kelly Marie Tran did the voice for Rose Tico.
Good for her.
Ahmed Best was Darth Jar Jar. There are a bunch of, I think D. Bradley Baker is the voice for Nub anyway. Or am I saying his name right?
D. Bradley Baker? Pretty sure.
No. Care Bear Jedi. I didn't spell bear right.
You're really batting 1,000.
I went to college.
I think you're getting a bunch of results that you didn't want.
Yeah, Google's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm going to put what I think it is.
Nub.
We're getting closer. Nubs.
Okay.
In fact, if I were to go to our chat right now, there's probably one Nubs fan who's like, it's fucking Nubs! Where was I? Gay, Darth Maul.
Yes. Are we at the point where we can talk about the very last scene?
Oh yeah, so it's shot and feels like a post-credit scene.
Yeah.
But
so Darth Ray and Darth Rose come into this room and say, "Hey, we need you to fucking go capture that Sig guy," and we hear a voice that's very familiar. It says, "This is the way."
Yeah.
And like, okay, what do we call you? They call me the Landalorian.
It takes us, and also voiced by him.
Oh, yeah. Fuck, what's his name?
There's so many names I have to remember on a daily basis. I don't know how I remember all of them anyway. Billy D. Williams. Yeah. Yep. And little baby Yoda.
Yep.
Is there too. They sequel baited the fuck out of it. I assume they're going to do another one. Unless a bunch of whiny little boys bitch about it on,
Not actual little boys, because like
actual little boys probably love this shit.
Yeah, actual 9-year-old boys probably love this.
Yeah. The intellectual 9-year-olds who are comment on the internet and in comment threads, if they bitch enough about it, they'll probably cancel it. But as we know, Lucasfilm gives in to terrorists, as we've learned. So yeah, for what it was, I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it. We had a good laugh. Real quick, I'm gonna read a couple of these before we move on. Darth Kit Fisto and Rose too. Yeah, we got there. Give us a fucking minute. We'll get there. Quantum Nuts. This is also from our previous segment. Maybe his next channel will be Conspiracy Theory. You know what Star Wars says about anger. LOL.
Mm-hmm.
Someone like Theory. I'm sure his Windu versus Vader film will get thousands of views and support. I'm sure it'll get more than that because those are neat little what if scenarios. The problem with, first of all, he acts like they're these amazing, groundbreaking films, and they're mid fan films. Like, they're fine. They're not, even in the world of fan films, they're not amazing. He spent a bunch of his own personal money on it, a couple $100,000.
His dad's money, probably.
Allegedly. We don't know that. and like they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
However, he really markets them and acts like they're, like, oh, this is better than Disney Star
God's
Wars.
gift to the genre.
And it's like, just fuck off. He's just a cheap, low-class Tate wannabe, and that is actually a really good point to make, because he has in the past defended Andrew Tate, and looks to me like one of the universe's biggest fucking Andrew Tate wannabes in the world. Fucking loves Jordan Peterson, thinks Jordan Peterson's real smart, which is hilarious because Jordan Peterson is probably the most intellectually uninteresting, stunted person I've ever listened to in my entire life. Like, just below like Ben Shapiro, who he probably also fucking has a boner for. I don't know. I like Windu, but people really need to let that.
Every time
he survived theory.
I think about Ben Shapiro, I remember that time he involuntarily admitted that he'd never given his wife an orgasm.
Not a single time, apparently. I thought it was really funny. Me, a gay man, someone explained to me what WAP meant, and I was like, oh,
okay.
Well, yeah, it makes sense, because and then Ben Shapiro was like, that doesn't happen. And his wife is like in the corner like, I know. I can tell you. It doesn't happen.
Ma'am, blink twice if you want to get out.
If you blink twice if you'd like an orgasm, please. I'll take one for the gay team. I'll help Ben Shapiro's wife out.
I mean, if she's married to him, she probably
it wouldn't take much.
Follows at least some of his views. So I don't know if you really want to.
I don't know. Yeah. I think conservative women are. It's a.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something.
Rings of Power.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about. Rings of Power, the one thing that no one hates, everyone loves, and there's absolutely no controversy over whatsoever. I
don't even frequent the Tolkien parts of the internet, and I know that's bullshit. Yeah.
It has a high Rotten Tomato score. It's like in the 90s.
I mean, it should. It's visually stunning. It's well acted.
Music's good. Yeah. I saw that. I don't think the viewership is as good as season 1. And they're like, oh, it's going to get canceled, and it's like, I think you underestimate how stubborn Jeff Bezos is about stuff. And if it turns out that Jeff Bezos is like some super Lord of the Rings fan, it's entirely possible he's like, I don't care how much it costs, we're doing this until I die.
He could fund this show out of his pocket money
and would never miss it.
Yeah,
like he wouldn't notice it was gone.
Like it is the most expensive TV show ever produced.
Yeah. And it looks like it too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think this week was the 5th episode, right?
I think so.
Halls of Stone, I think it was called. So Durin has the ring now.
Yes.
And let me tell you, Chris.
Old Durin, King Durin.
He's really turned into a cunt about it, hasn't he?
So, like, I get that they have to show that the rings corrupt over time, but they are not subtle about this at all.
They turn Durin just to an absolute asshole.
Like, the very first scene is, like, young Durin and his wife walking through the market trying to get a gift for their kid. And this merchant says, yeah, price is double because the king taxes everything at 50%. I'm like, whoa.
Right,
geez,
inflation,
fuck?
Right, yeah. It's 100%. For every coin spent, another coin goes to the king or whatever.
Ring tax.
Yeah. Which, damn, dude.
Dude, first of all, you don't need to pay for that ring. Like, you just were given it.
Yeah. I wonder what made him think, like, oh, I have this ring, I have these amazing powers, I can do everything. Oh, now I'm getting extra taxes.
I think it's
the ego.
It's meant to be the ring corrupting him and pulling out the greedy part of himself.
Yeah. So they get that gift. It's like a tuning geode or something.
Geode. It's pretty.
She drops it
and it rolls away. And she's like, oh, I better go chase it down. And somehow she's like 50 miles away in the depths of the mountain.
In the bowels of Khazad Dûm, yeah.
Finds this lake, and she does her, mountain singer thing.
Yeah.
And she finds, oh, here's the rock, and something like growls at her, and she's like...
So that's the Balrog, right?
I think so.
Or something. Because she, like, that was her big warning. She's like, guys, I went down to the bowels of our city mountain, and I sang a little song, and something sang back. And I think we should leave, because that's terrifying.
A Balrog of Morgoth.
Yeah. Durin does save Khazad Dûm because they need the sunlight for the crops.
Yeah. So like the dwarves are all digging. King Durin shows up and he's like rubbing his ring along the wall.
He's like, oh yeah, That's the spot.
Right here.
Yeah.
You're gonna dig right here. And during the younger is like, dude, that's like one of the supports that holds the entire mountain.
That's
up.
a foundation wall.
Maybe we don't want it. He's like, shut the fuck, give me your pickaxe.
Yeah.
And he bangs it into the wall and opens up, and there's sunlight there. He's like, the next time I tell you to fucking dig, you fucking dig.
Yeah, they're like,
Okay. And like, to his credit, he does get sunlight through. Like, they dig a bunch of new shafts and shaft.
I think as a point of shaft.
Took you a minute.
Shaft. As a point of manipulation, I think King Durn III, when Durn the Younger brings forward his concerns, he brushes them off, and I think as a point of manipulation, he's like, "You're gonna be the heir.
You're gonna be the prince again.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Here's a nice little thing on your neck.
Your little cowl.
I like how he gets home and his wife is like,
What the fuck did you do?
Yeah, and she immediately is like,
you are never putting that fucking ring on.
If you put that ring on, so help me fucking God, we will never have sex again. Yeah.
And like, I rationalized this in my brain because Durn the Fourth didn't actually say it, but I rationalized it as him thinking like, okay, I have a better chance to influence him and sort of steer him.
I have his ear.
If I'm closer to him than if I'm yelling at him from far away.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. You know a name I really like to say?
What's that?
Celebrimbor.
That's just a fun
Celebrimbor.
Celebrimbor. Celebrimbor fucks everything up.
My next dog's going to be named Celebrimbor.
You're going to get so tired of saying that.
I am, but you know what? I don't care. Celebrimbor. And Sauron. I think they're together.
You got to roll the R a little bit.
Yeah.
Sauron.
Well, you got to turn it. There's a difference. I know this because my partner is a vocalist.
Oh, okay.
God help me. And knows all about the different conventions of other languages, which by the way, I only know English. I somehow got out of learning another language when I was in high school.
You learned a little bit of French in college.
Not that much. I did Rosetta Stone for a couple of weeks, Chris. Let's not fool anyone.
What a saxophonist you are.
Yeah. Well, I do know those French words.
Okay.
Like the 10 words that appear in music, in French saxophone music. I know those.
Okay.
I can't pronounce any of them because they're mostly vowels and none of them make sense.
You just ignore half the vowels. That's how French works.
You
ignore X's, you ignore half the vowels. Actual French people, feel free to correct me in the comments.
Yeah. We won't understand you. So he explained to me the difference between trilling or rolling an R and turning an R, which is different.
Okay.
So when you're rolling an R, it's like in Spanish where it's long, like it's like right. Yeah. Where when you're turning an R, it's just think of it like a grace note.
Sauron.
Yeah. So it's different. So anyway, wow, we went down that fucking nerd hole, didn't we?
Anyway, Celebrimbor's fucking everything up.
They're in that one city, Eregion,
yeah.
E-region.
Sure.
Yeah.
E-region.
So Sauron.
Do you think that's how fucking Tolkien came up with the name? Just I need a name for this. E-region.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's like eBay.
Yeah.
It's where they're gonna invent internet.
Sauron was like, hey. We did a really good job of those dwarf rings, huh?
Yeah.
You want to make some more?
Which is funny because he's like, they're complaining about the dwarf rings. And he's like, why? And he's like, because it's making Durn fucking crazy. And he's like, oh no.
Well, that couldn't have been my fault.
Yeah.
It was clearly our fault because you fucking lied to your king.
You told a fucking lie to the king.
You told the fucking king that you weren't going to make any more rings. Then you went and made some rings. So whose fault is it really, mister?
Yeah.
Celebrimbor's like,
I don't know what to.
That's actually possible,
just
given the way things work here. So,
yeah, because elvish bullshit is like.
Yeah. I read something like Tolkien elves. Things just kind of work because they think it should work.
Because they're so pretty.
Yeah, like they have such a mystical connection to the universe. They just do something and it works out for them, which is the reason there are no elf scientists.
Yeah, okay.
Because every single elf scientist who tries to replicate an experiment will get whatever result they think should happen.
Oh. That's auspicious?
Yeah, so like three elves could do the same thing and get 3 different results.
I can't possibly understand how physics works in that universe, but that's fine.
Anyway, so Sauron's like, all right, look, you don't want to make the rings. That's fine. I'll make the rings.
All by myself.
Yeah,
I hope I don't get hurt.
Yeah. I hope nothing happens to your, elvish companions.
You know what I really love about this? So it's different this time around because in season 1, we weren't sure. We had suspicions about Halbrand, but we weren't sure about him.
Yep.
Knowing what he is now, and knowing that Annatar is just a front for Sauron, watching him manipulate and knowing it's what he's doing is actually a neat character detail.
Yeah.
Because
there's a little bit of dread every time he's on screen. He's like, oh God, what's he going to do this
right.
time?
Like, what has he got his claws into? Because like he kind of takes advantage of Celebrimbor. God, what a fucking name. Like his guilt about lying to the king.
His guilt, his pride.
His ego, right. His just absolute sheer ego. Because like he knows he's like the best at what he does. But he plays him like a fucking Rohanian fiddle, right?
There's a fun little scene in this where like the stuff is just flying around and like Celebrimbor grabs the air.
Invisible lady.
Yeah, and pulls a ring off, like a prototype ring off this lady. And she's like, I saw a whole bunch of shadows and fog and shit, and it was
all the Lord of the Rings fans were like, oh, I know what you're talking about.
And there was like this giant thing with eyes of fire and like spiky crown on his head, and it's really fucked up. And and I think it might still be here.
Yeah.
And Sauron's like,
you want to see my dick?
You didn't see that.
Yeah, you want to see my eye? Will distract you with how pretty my hair is.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, your hair's so pretty.
And like when everyone leaves, he's like, oh yeah, you look just like Galadriel.
Yeah, and gives her a little touch on the shoulder and like brushes her hair, and she's like, I'm experiencing feelings that Ben Shapiro's wife has never experienced.
What a callback.
Yeah, that was a good way to loop that around. Yeah. So end of the story. Celebrimbor is like, okay, well, somehow it makes sense that.
Well, so another good scene, like they're working on rings, and Sauron's like, yeah, we were trying to do this, and we were using more mithril in the alloy, and Celebrimbor's like, no, you don't do that, and stops himself, and Sauron's like, well, this would go a whole lot faster if you just say whatever you
go on,
say.
Yeah. It's this is Celebrimbor's logic. Okay. We made 3 rings for the elves. Went fucking great.
Yeah, those are great. Perfect.
We made 7 rings for the dwarves.
Jury's still out on those.
Not going so great.
Yeah.
May or may not be going great. To fix our error with the 7 dwarvish rings, let's make 9 rings.
Yes, 9 rings for men.
And then everything will be balanced out perfectly.
Yeah.
And you're like, how?
It's logic only in elf.
Yeah, elvish logic, yeah. It's like there will be an odd number of rings, but it will balance out.
Yeah.
And Annatar / Sauron's like, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah. And so they decide they're going to make the 9 rings for men, doomed to fucking die or whatever.
Yep.
In Numenor. What's this fucking guy's name? Pharazôn.
I think he's our Pharazôn.
Because he's right. He did it January 6th. And now
but it worked out for him.
Yeah, because a bird showed up.
Because a giant fucking eagle showed up.
Why the fuck
and
not?
He stood in front of him and pulled out his sword, and it was like, Pharazôn!
Yeah. He's promoted his son, I guess, Kemen.
To asshole in chief.
Oh yeah, dude.
This guy's a cunt.
Takes that job very seriously. So
the queen is like, okay, look, Elendil, I need you to fucking be ready to fucking save Numenor because some bad shit's gonna happen. And Elendil's like, I only touched the fucking rock once. I don't know what. I was just riding through the woods. It was great. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Everything was fine.
Yeah.
I think I was on a camping trip.
So he leaves and goes down to the city, and all the Sea Guard are turning in their uniforms because they've been kicked out of the army. And he's like,
all the people still loyal to the queen are kicked out.
He's like, what the fuck is this? And his lieutenant's like, yeah, they're fucking kicking us out because it's a fascist takeover.
Yeah. And
Elendil's like, that's pretty fucking stupid. But I guess.
What do you think's gonna happen to your fucking navy?
Yeah.
Like.
I mean, I guess orders are orders, so here's my fucking sword. See you later. And Lieutenant's like, oh, Captain, my captain.
Yeah.
Captain, my captain.
They all stood up on their desks and shit. Yeah.
And Asshole in Chief is like, dude, can you guys fucking not? Like, we're the ones in charge here. Fuck this guy.
Yeah. There's a little bit of There's that kid. What's his name? Well, Valendil is the kid, right?
Valendil's the lieutenant, I think.
The kid, the younger one, and then there's who's Isildur's dad?
Elendil. There's Elendil. There's a starts with a V. Valandil?
Valandil.
Valandil.
Yeah.
Okay,
this is some Game of Thrones level bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't have the capacity to learn 2 different IPs and all these fucking names.
Especially when all these are in made-up languages.
Yeah, it's just right. So, like, there's this thing to Valandil and Elendil's surviving daughter want to do a fucky.
Well, they did initially.
Yeah.
And then Valendil is like, well, you're kind of siding with the fascists.
Yeah,
so
you went MAGA, and I
I
don't like that.
don't really
yeah.
like you anymore.
You're
just like, oh.
But the other guy, fucking Kemen, wants to do a fucky, but I don't think she necessarily even close to wants that because he's like the Ben Shapiro of this universe. Oh man.
So let's see. Later that night, they're down at the fucking temple or whatever, doing
the oldest temple in all the land.
Remembrance service for the people who died in Middle Earth, and fucking fuckboy comes in and says, "Hey, we're knocking this temple over. It's in the way of the king's new aqueduct, so get the fuck out of here." And the priest is like,
"Yeah, I think it's funny. Even in Numenor, they have fucking eminent domain." Yeah.
And Elendil's like, "Dude, can you fucking not?" And fuckboy's like, seize him, and Valendil's like, no, you fucking don't, and they start fighting.
He tries to drown Valendil.
Yeah,
kind of.
And Valendil pushes him away, and fuckboy pulls out his sword, and Valendil's like, nope, that's my sword now. It has him on the ground, about to stab him, and Valendil's like, dude, can we all just calm down a little bit? Like,
let's lower the temperature.
Yes, let's like I know I was the first one to punch fuckboy.
Yeah, and it was good.
It was very satisfying.
Yeah. I would like to court reporter. It was very good.
It was extremely good. I'd been waiting to do that for days. Yeah. However, stabbing him through the throat in cold blood is just a tiny bit too far.
Yeah.
So like, Valendil, can you just put down the sword? Valendil's like,
he takes the high. He decides to take the high road. Yeah.
As you wish, Captain. Oh God! You fuckboy just stabbed me in the chest.
Yeah, and that makes Elendil kind of upset. And I assume what's her name will be upset about this too.
Very possibly.
Yeah. So. And that's where that story ends for the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And then Elrond and Gilgalad? Gilgamesh?
Gilgalad.
Yeah. Kind of sounds like Gilgamesh. Anyway. They're talking about the future and what's going to happen and shit, and they know that there are orcs marching toward
Eregion.
Yeah.
And Elrond's like, we gotta fucking take the army, go to Eregion right the fuck now.
Yeah.
And Gilgalad's like, nope, can't do it.
I thought it was interesting how... So Gilgalad's obviously being corrupted by the ring as well, but the shit that it's showing him,
I don't think that it's that he's corrupted. I think it's that he doesn't quite know how to parse what the ring is telling him.
I guess, can elves be corrupted? Probably not.
The point of the 3 rings is that they were made without Sauron's influence. So
it's just Celebrimbor?
They're actually good.
Okay.
They're fine.
Okay.
It's Gilgalad just doesn't know how to use the ring.
Okay. Yet. Yeah, and he even makes a point. He's like, I have a feeling this whole thing is just Sauron being an asshole, like kind of pulling the strings everywhere.
It's part that he straight up says, like, Sauron's out there. We do not have the forces to beat Adar and Sauron.
Both of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is funny because, like, the other part of this episode is Adar trying to ally with Galadriel.
The orcs are marching through the woods, and they stop the cart they're pulling and prop open the door, and Galadriel comes out.
By the way, she's so fucking extra when she gets, because she's like, I will get out myself, and then she's like, whoosh,
whoosh. Yeah. And like the orcs are kind of poking her and taunting her, and she's like, can you fucking not? And then Adar shows up. He's like, hey, let's do a talk. And she grabs him,
hair knife,
pulls a shank out of her hair. I don't know how she got it there. Is holding up to his throat, and he's like, dude, seriously, like,
it's the ancient art of the elvish hair knife.
Yeah. He's like,
it's in the Silmarillion.
He's like, no, but seriously, can we talk? Like, I think you and I both want to fuck up Sauron. So let's. And
she's like, oh yeah, but you're right.
Yeah.
Also, what the fuck happened to your face?
we may find that out at some point.
Yeah, because was he that fucked up when he tried to kill Sauron the first time?
I think so.
It wasn't the frost blast that did it to him, was it?
It might have been. Now that I think about it.
The frostbite.
I'd have to go back and look at it.
Yeah, so I think
So we know that those two talk, and they figure out that, hey, Sauron's the bigger enemy. Maybe we should team up here.
Which is interesting that we could possibly be going toward a Adar orc army against Sauron.
Yeah.
Like maybe this side takes control of the orcs.
So what I'm theorizing,
Have not read the books.
Yeah,
by the way.
haven't read anything. Like, this is just based on what I remember from the on this season trailer.
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen is Adar and Galadriel are going to figure out that, hey, Sauron's in Eregion. Let's use this fucking orc army we got to get in there and kill him. And Sauron's going to be like to Celebrimbor, hey, there's orcs outside. Maybe we should fight them off so they can't get the rings. And Celebrimbor's like, all right, fucking muster up whatever elves we got here. We got to fucking kill the orcs.
Yeah, we know that there's a big battle happening. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Fucking the guy that plays Elrond, I really like his actor. So I'm excited to see him do more shit. Because I think he's in one of those battle shots. He's like all decked out in his fucking like battle gear and shit.
Despite the fact that he's like a diplomat.
Yeah, but he probably has also been trained in the ancient art of elvish
they're
heritage.
elves. They've been alive forever. They've been trained in everything.
Yeah, he went through a combat phase that was like 500 years or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, next one is next Thursday?
I think so. Yeah. It'll be fun.
Yeah. So tomorrow at 7, we're doing Dungeons and Dragons, our weekly. You're not, but we like the guys and I are our weekly space themed tabletop RPG.
Going off doing a space pirate.
Yeah. Finally. One of our guys had a suitcase full of $38 million and opened it in front of opened it in a crowded place where we knew there were gangs, and of course it was stolen.
Of course. And
of course we tried to get it back, and that's not going to happen. So we lost $38 million.
That's unlucky.
Yep. So now I guess we're just like, I guess we'll go terrorize people now. we're mad about it.
Gotta get that $38 million somewhere.
I'm having a surgery on Monday, so at least Monday and Tuesday, possibly even Wednesday, depending on how like fucked up I am. There probably won't be a lot happening. Then
we'll be back next Saturday.
Yes, I plan to be. Yeah. And if not, then we'll make sure everyone knows about it. So make sure if you're still here, thank you for the support in the comments. Make sure you go and follow us on Facebook Live.
We appreciate you appreciating our bullshit.
Yeah, it's nice. It feels nice. Go check us out on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitch, and then also join us on Discord and talk